Welcome to Buddhist Bookshelf, your gateway to profound Buddhist teachings. Today, we're excited to present The Awakening of Wisdom and Compassion, an enlightening 6-part audiobook series by the esteemed Venerable Master Chin Kung. This series takes you on a profound journey into the timeless wisdom and compassion central to Buddhism. Venerable Master Chin Kung's teachings offer invaluable insights on how wisdom and compassion can deeply enrich our lives and lead us to inner peace. Join us in this exploration of spiritual growth and enlightenment as we dive into the heart of these teachings. If you haven't already, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you become a part of our growing community committed to spreading the wonderful teachings of the Buddha. Your subscription allows us to continue sharing these invaluable lessons with the world. If you find this audiobook series inspiring, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. Together, we can help make the teachings of the Buddha accessible to every human being, fostering understanding, peace, and compassion across the globe. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey, and let's work together to illuminate the path of wisdom and compassion for all. The fourth vow: to regret karmic obstacles. Everybody has karmic obstacles. Every thought in a person's mind causes a karmic act, which in turn will certainly result in an obstacle. What is obstructed? Our true nature, within which there is infinite wisdom and virtue. There are two types of obstacles: those caused by afflictions and those caused by knowledge attachment. We create these constantly. The Buddha told us in the Flower Adornment Sutra, all beings have the Buddha's wisdom and virtue, but cannot attain them due to their wandering thoughts and attachments. Like a doctor, the Buddha pointed out the root cause of our illness. Attachments are the root cause of afflictions, and wandering thoughts are the root cause of knowledge attachment. For all methods, learning and cultivation is simply a matter of doing away with our wandering thoughts and attachments. Once we do this, we will uncover our Buddha nature. All the methods in Buddhism teach us to regret our karmic obstacles. Thus, to regret karmic obstacles is the key to our cultivation. However, it is very difficult to remove these obstacles. Of all the methods, that of the Pure Land is unique. For even if we have committed an extremely grave crime such as one of the 5 deadly offenses, and are thus destined to fall into the abyssal hell, we can still remove our obstacles and attain Buddhahood. We need to feel remorse, vow to change and practice Buddha name chanting, and accord with the Buddha's teachings to attain birth into the Pure Land. This is why Master Chin said that this recitation method alone is able to dispel obstacles, for they cannot be dispelled reciting sutras or mantras. In the past few years there was a theory being circulated that said a person with remaining karma could not attain birth into the Pure Land. This greatly shocked and panicked Pure Land practitioner. When I went to Los Angeles in 1984, I was asked if this was really true. On hearing the question, I smiled and said, if it were true that no person with remaining karma could be born into the Pure Land, then the only person there would be Buddha Amitabha. What then is the use of going there? The person questioned why. I replied, have you ever heard of the 4 lands, 3 kinds and 9 grades in the Pure Land? He replied that he had read of them in the sutras. I told him if no one with remaining karma had been born into the Pure Land, why are there 4 lands, 3 kinds and 9 levels? With this, he understood. The division of lands, kinds and levels is based on the amount of remaining karma. With heavier karma, we are born into a lower grade. With light karma, a higher grade. I then explained, Great Compassion Bodhisattva, Great Wisdom Bodhisattva and Universal Worthy Bodhisattva are all equal enlightenment bodhisattvas. The sutras tell us that even bodhisattvas of this high level still possess 1 degree of remaining ignorance. Isn't this a karmic act? My questioner was relieved at my words. So even an equal enlightenment bodhisattva goes to the Pure Land with remaining karma. Buddha Amitabha is the only one there without any karma. I then concluded, who says that a person with remaining karma cannot be born into the Pure Land? My words seemed to help as the individual laughed merrily, for he began to see that all beings in the Pure Land had gone there with their remaining karma. Buddhism teaches us not to be angry or hold grudges against others. So, I added it is not wrong to advocate extinguishing karma, for it is good to carry as little karma to the Pure Land as possible. In this way the person can attain birth into a higher level. Later, I went to New York. As soon as I got off the plane, I was asked the same question. People did not know the truth. As soon as I explained, they understood that it was not wrong to have karma. Extinguishing karma is good, for it is feeling remorse for the obstacle. Buddha name chanting is a sincere act of feeling remorse and vowing to change. However, when feeling remorse, we must be sure that our heart is the same as Buddha Amitabha's, our vow is the same as Buddha Amitabha's, and our behavior corresponds with that of Buddha Amitabha. How do we do this? With sincerity, by not merely reciting with our mouth but with our heart. In this way, we will perfectly fulfill the teachings in the sutras. Only by doing so can it be said that we are true cultivators of the recitation method. Be sure that with every thought of a Michuofo we have the same thought and vow as the Buddha. We need to turn his 48 vows into our own. Only in this way can we be rid of karmic transgressions. The fifth vow. To be joyful over others' meritorious deeds. This requires us to go against what seems so natural to us, jealousy. It is natural for humans to have this emotion. For example, small children appear unhappy when others receive more candy than they do. This is jealousy, and it is a major obstacle to our self-cultivation. Universal Worthy Bodhisattva largely attributed this vow to jealousy. He taught us not to feel envy, but rather to regard others' meritorious deeds as our own, and to further assist them in their endeavors. This vow tells us to not only feel joyful over others' meritorious deeds, but to help them accomplish even more. If we are unable to offer assistance, we can at least express our joy and admiration. However, if we are able to offer assistance, then it will be a true fulfillment of this vow. Remember that helping others is helping ourselves. We would do well to love and tolerate those who exceed us, for in this way we will accomplish the virtue of this vow. In ancient times, education in China was such that each succeeding generation was expected to exceed the current generation in accomplishment. If not, the education was considered a failure. People today, however, are afraid that others will exceed them. When they teach others, they may hold back important information. This is called grudging teaching, which will incur the retribution of ignorance. Grudging money incurs poverty. These people are not aware how serious the retribution will be. We should strive to continuously progress in our cultivation of virtue, acquisition of knowledge, development of ability and improvement of the standard of life. Only in this way will education be successful with the entire society progressing. It will be our responsibility in the next era to educate others. If we fail to attain virtue, knowledge and ability, we will not be able to help the next generation of sentient beings. Why? Look at today's children. The education they receive is leaning more and more towards science and technology, while society is becoming increasingly complicated. Therefore, those who have vowed to help others will need to have a purer heart, greater wisdom and higher virtue to cope with the new era and opportunities. Jealousy and hatred are extremely harmful to our self-nature, and hence should be extinguished. So, the virtue of being joyful over others' meritorious deeds will be even more important. The sixth vow. To appeal to the Buddha to turn the Dharma wheel. Since we benefit from the education we receive from the Buddha, what can we do to repay his kindness? Nowadays, most people enshrine and worship him, making daily offerings to his image on an altar. Is this the right way to repay him? No. These are only rituals to remind us not to forget the Buddha's kindness. The Buddha's wish is for all sentient beings to hear the truth, practice accordingly and receive the benefits to attain Buddhahood. The only way we can repay him is to take his heart as our own. Only in this way can we repay our respected teacher. Therefore, we can request the turning of the Dharma wheel. In other words, we invite knowledgeable masters to teach us about the sutras. This is also the greatest good deed in virtue. Why? Because it brings the teachings to the world. But if no one invites Dharma masters to lecture, they will not have the opportunity to do so. So, people who invite them to give Dharma talks will obtain great merits. Many people are willing to invite masters to chant or recite, believing that they will receive inconceivable good fortune. But actually, they may not understand the meaning of what they are reciting. Therefore, if they invite the Dharma master to give a talk, then the good fortune, merit and virtue are even greater. The listeners will acquire a better understanding of the text and will be more inclined to recite the sutra and follow its teachings. Unfortunately, if we want to invite a master to give a talk on the sutra today, we will find it hard to find an eligible one since there are so few. Many times, as I have traveled to give talks, I have been told that it was very difficult to find masters to speak. I have smiled and said, having a master to teach is a result. We need to plant the cause before we can attain this result. You are wishing for it without having planted the cause. Where on earth can we find such a deal? What does planting the cause mean in this instance? To help train Dharma masters. People like to listen to talks by senior, famous masters. Younger, unknown masters are normally inexperienced, so fewer people attend their talks. Thus they become discouraged in thinking that giving talks is too difficult. They return to conducting ceremonial services. What should we do to help these less experienced masters? The younger and more inexperienced they are, the more we need to attend their talks. This will encourage them to continue to practice and to improve. However, even if we attend every one of the master's talks, we should not praise them. Unfounded praise is more harmful than slander. People may become very angry when slandered, but for a person with integrity and enthusiasm, the slander will only serve as a stimulant. The more embarrassed he or she becomes, the more determined he or she becomes. This person will do their utmost to achieve. However, if people praise and eulogize the master, he or she will think that they are so good that further improvement is unnecessary. This thinking leads to arrogance. Therefore, we should neither praise inexperienced masters nor make offerings to them. With too much money and fame, they will soon become tainted. A person gives rise to the bodhisattva heart and becomes a monk or nun, but later becomes corrupt due to receiving excessive praise and offerings from followers. So, these followers are to blame for ruining this monk or nun. When the monk or nun receives the retribution, the followers will share the responsibility. Then whom should we make offerings to? The person with a firm mind, for he or she will neither feel excited when praised, nor troubled when slandered. Only they deserve to receive the praise and admiration, for only they will not be harmed by it. We would do well to strongly recommend this master to others, so that the master can help more beings. To accept praise and offerings is very difficult. Buddhists say that a single grain from the donor is heavier than Mount Sumeru. I will serve the donor like a bull in my next life, if I do not transcend the 6 realms of reincarnation at the end of this one. So it is not easy to properly accept offerings. Even Buddhas and Bodhisattvas do not enjoy the offerings made to them, let alone we ordinary beings. However, when the donor wishes to foster good deeds and virtues, the master should accept the offerings and then pass them on to others. Earlier in this century, Master Yin Wang set a good example for us. His innumerable followers gave many offerings. He used all the money to print sutras. Following his example, I have also used all the money donated to print sutras. I then freely distribute the books to everybody. I had the thought that if I did not attain achievement in this life and transcend the 6 realms, I would at least not become a bull in my next life, because everyone who had received my books would help to pay the debt for me. This is the transference of giving. In this way, everybody would share in the good fortune. This is the proper way of accepting offerings from followers. Using the offerings for personal use is absolutely wrong and immoral. Even if the money is used to build a way place, the way place has to be used to promote Buddhism. Only in this way can the donor receive the merits and virtues. Otherwise, without propagation and cultivation, the way place will become a place of competition and conflict. Therefore, we must be very careful if we want to build a way place. My late teacher, Mr. Lee, once said, when building the way place, everybody is a bodhisattva doing their best to complete the work. But after the way place is built, everybody becomes a demon. Why? Because they are all trying to grab power and profit. They have forgotten their initial genuine intention in building the way place. We have to be very careful when making offerings to a Dharma master. The Buddha told us that there were 4 kinds of offerings that could be made to monks and nuns. The first is food and drink, without which they cannot survive. The second is clothing. If it becomes worn, provide new ones if there is not another one available. The third is medicine to be provided upon illness. The fourth is bedding. Nowadays, followers offer monks and nuns houses and whatever good things they can afford. Then they live such a comfortable life that they no longer want to go to the Pure Land. The present life becomes so satisfactory that the goal to transcend the cycle of birth and death to attain Buddhahood fades. This is very harmful to their cultivation. They have left their secular home behind. To present them with a house is to urge them to return home. Isn't this harmful to them? Having received ownership of a house, they have again acquired property. This is regression of their cultivation. The follower is then actually a criminal who will ruin the master. These people do not understand that this is harming Buddhism and damaging the spirit of the Triple Jewels. They think they are doing a good deed and accumulating much merit. When they see the king of the hell realms after they die, they will feel bewilderment at their punishment. We must have true wisdom to cultivate good fortune, merits and virtue in Buddhism. Followers need to be told of this, but many masters are reluctant to tell them so because then they may not receive offerings. What about me? I am determined to go to the Pure Land. I will not remain in this world to continue to bear the suffering. Thus, to tell the truth, I do not care whether you make offerings to me or not. It would be even better for me if you did not, for it would save me a lot of trouble. Because of this, I started the corporate body of the Buddha's Educational Foundation, which is devoted to the printing and distribution of Buddhist books. I told the manager, print more if there are more offerings. Print fewer if there are fewer offerings. There is no need to print any if there are no offerings, which is best. When too many offerings are received, we have to take the trouble to select among all the Buddhist books to determine which ones are most suitable to print, and then decide how best to print them. With no offerings, there would be no worries, no troubles. So we should not seek offerings, seek a way place or ask for anything. Then we will have a pure mind and a quiet heart on our path to enlightenment. Cultivating a pure mind and a quiet heart, helping others to cultivate the same and staying away from fame and profit is true cultivation. We need to foster novice monks and nuns by placing them in hardships. If we cannot bear to see them experiencing hardship, we are harming them. When Buddha Shakyamuni was in this world, all of his students had only 1 meal a day and spent the night sitting under trees. Is this not a life of hardship? If we had been there and felt sorry for them and helped them out of their hardships, how could they have attained enlightenment? The Buddha taught us to regard hardship as our teacher. Only by living most simply and frugally can we acquire a true Dharma heart and be firmly determined to transcend this world. So, hardships are good for us. If we are not willing to undergo hardship ourselves, then we can at least respect those who are and not try to extricate them from their difficulties. Only when we sincerely help inexperienced monks and nuns to improve will we have good masters promoting Buddhism. The 7th vow. To request the Buddha to reside in this world. The main purpose of the 6th vow is to introduce Buddhism to all people. If we hope to have accomplishment in our cultivation, the vow to request the turning of the Dharma wheel is not enough. Have you seen anyone attain enlightenment simply by listening to a talk on the sutra only once or twice in his or her lifetime? If this could happen, then enlightenment would be obtainable only when the Buddha was in the world, and unobtainable when he was not. However, with our limited abilities we cannot do this, so we need to request the Buddha to reside in this world. In other words, we need a teacher who is with us every day, so that we can be under their constant guidance, and thus be able to reach enlightenment. Years ago, I was asked by Professor Lee about my aspirations. I told him that I wished to travel around the world encouraging others to practice Buddhism. He nodded and told me that this was good, that I could achieve, but I could not help others to do so. I asked why. He replied that I could only propagandize. He said that he had lived in Taizong for more than 30 years, and therefore many people had attained achievement. He went on to explain that if he had not lived in Taizong, but had simply visited to lecture once or twice a year, then nobody would have had any achievement. To be able to help another, there needs to be an existing affinity. Without this affinity, even a Buddha cannot help us. By traveling around the world propagating Buddhism, we meet many people, but the affinities with them are lighter. Staying in one place to conduct regular teachings needs stronger affinities. I have benefited greatly from my travels as I have been freed from the concept of home. Every day I was either on the road or in a hotel. Where is my home? No home at all. Although I have places to give talks, I usually do not stay there for longer than a few weeks. The shattering of the idea of home has proven to be an escape for me. If we want to reach any achievement, we need to request the Buddha to remain in this world. The Buddha himself is no longer here, but his followers are, be they monks and nuns or laypeople. Those who are knowledgeable and virtuous can be invited to reside in our town or city to give teachings. In this way, we will be constantly under their guidance. It is easy to provide for masters of virtue and character because they lead simple lives. However, the lecture hall should look magnificent so that the listeners will like it and will thus develop respect for the way place. However, if the appearance of the hall is mediocre, they might look down on the way place. People often set store by appearance and pay less attention to content. Although a person who knows the true value of things does not attach much importance to appearance, a splendid and imposing-looking lecture hall is necessary for people to see initially. Although the lecture and cultivation halls are very impressive, the living quarters of the monks and nuns are very simple. If we look at the temples in China, we will understand. Even the head monk lives in a small room. The luxurious exterior rooms are only for laypeople and visitors. By carefully observing this, we will know the right manner we need to have and the right methods we need to adopt. Doing so properly will enable Buddhism to take root, grow, blossom and bear fruit wherever we live. From the above, we can see that among the 10 great vows of universal worthy bodhisattva, the first 7 are for a bodhisattva's vows and conduct, and the last 3 are the ways to dedicate all merits. The 8th vow: to constantly be a diligent follower of the Buddha's teachings. Although the Buddha no longer resides in this world, we still have his sutras to follow and study. Following the sutras is the highest standard in our learning and practicing Buddhism. The 9th vow: to accord with all sentient beings. We need to accord with the wishes of all sentient beings in the universe. This is extremely difficult to do and is why the Chinese say that filial piety and according with others go together. Learning Buddhism is to honor filial piety and to accord with the being's wishes. While according, we need to look for the right opportunities to try to encourage people to stop committing wrongdoings. This will help them to break through delusion and attain enlightenment. However, to do this perfectly, we need to recognize the right way and time, and for this, we need wisdom, expediency and flexibility. The 10th vow: to dedicate all merits. This means dedicating all of our good deeds and merits to all the sentient beings in the universe. It means broadening our hearts so that the entire universe becomes one entity. Only when we have reached this state can we be said to have attained the great perfection. In our learning and cultivation of the Pure Land, we use the 5 sutras and 1 sastra. The Buddha speaks of the Infinite Life Sutra of adornment, purity, equality and enlightenment of the Mahayana school. The Amitabha Sutra. The Visualization Sutra. The chapter of Universal Worthy Bodhisattva's Conduct and Vows from the Flower Adornment Sutra. The chapter on the perfect complete realization of great strength, Bodhisattva through Buddha name chanting from the Surangama Sutra and the Rebirth Treatise. We practice the 5 guidelines, the 3 conditions, the 6 harmonies, the 3 learnings, the 6 paramitas and the 10 great vows of universal worthy bodhisattva. Very simple, very clear, not at all complicated. If we consistently follow these in our learning and cultivation, we are sure to succeed. In doing so, as an ancient sage said, if 10,000 practice, 10,000 will succeed. Now we have the principles and methods of learning and cultivation. How do we interact with people and handle matters and objects in our daily lives? If we follow the above 5 guidelines, single-mindedly chant the name of Buddha Amitabha and seek birth into the Pure Land, we will definitely succeed. This is the end of this episode. I will see you in next episode's chapter 7. A friendly reminder, your engagement through likes, shares, and subscriptions plays a pivotal role in disseminating these profound teachings, extending their reach to touch the lives of innumerable individuals in pursuit of enlightenment and inner tranquility. We sincerely thank you for embarking on this enlightening journey with us, united in our mission to make the profound teachings of the Buddha readily available to all who seek them. Buddhism's timeless wisdom carries the potential to illuminate minds and bring solace to countless souls. Your participation is not just an act of support for our channel, but a contribution to a broader cause: the dissemination of enlightenment, compassion, and peace. Together, we can bridge the gap between seekers and the invaluable teachings of the Buddha, breaking down barriers and making these teachings accessible to people from all walks of life. Every like, every share, and every subscription strengthens this bridge, fostering a world where the wisdom of the Buddha can bring solace, understanding, and harmony to an ever-widening audience. Your continued support is deeply appreciated, and we invite you to stay connected with us on this meaningful journey. Let's unite in our efforts to ensure that the radiant teachings of the Buddha touch the hearts and minds of all who yearn for them.